Hi, I'm Lionel, this is Tech Loto, and let's talk about why everybody's wrong about the Polar Verity Sense. So the Polar Verity Sense came out around February, and on the day that it was released, people had reviews for it. Even if you received the heart rate tracker early, there's still no way that you can get a true sense of what it's like to use this device to track your heart rate in all these different activities, in real life settings, and give an accurate review. There's no way you'll be able to do that. But believe it, people had the reviews out on the same day. And I'm so glad that I've actually had a few months to test this device. And the reality is that in using the heart rate tracker for something more than just running, I've really been able to find how good this is. So when I first got the tracker, I compared it to the Polar H10 heart rate sensor. And what I found is that it wasn't as accurate. So the Polar H10 heart rate tracker could track my heart rate up to about 205. And that's a crazy maximum. But when I had the Polar Verity Sense on, I was finding that it was capping my heart rate far too low. Even lower than the Polar watches. I was feeling like maybe the intensity of my workout wasn't the same, but over time I started to notice something. And that's something that I've always said about all of these heart rate trackers. The more you use them, the more accurate they become. Here's the basis of my argument. When you set up a Polar watch, it gives you one simple advice. Record activity on this watch regularly so that it can give you more accurate information. I would think that's the same for all of their devices, and it's something that I've genuinely found. You can see that I used this for months with different activities, and I found that it was able to actually record my maximum heart rate. And this wasn't just a glitch or something that just became the default, because after a few activities, you could see that my intensity isn't always measured the same. The reason why I love the Polar Verity Sense and why I've stopped using my Polar H10 heart rate sensor is just because this is so much more convenient for me. As you guys know, if I'm not running, most of the time the activities that I'm using the heart rate trackers for are going to be like fighting. So boxing, MMA, wrestling, things like that. And when you're doing that, you don't want to be wearing a watch where you're harming the person that you're training with. So I would link the H10 chest strap to my watch. But the problem with the chest strap is that it can be quite restricting. And if I'm being honest, getting punched in the chest with the chest strap on is not the nicest thing in the world. And that's why the Verity Sense is so much more convenient for me. So if you actually have people who are in those high intensity activities, I really don't know why you wouldn't go for the Polar Verity Sense. It's targeted at swimmers, but it's built for a high intensity. In my opinion, I think Polar should market this along with their Polar Grit X. These are two devices that if I'm in the gym lifting weights, I'm definitely going to opt for one of these devices rather than the Polar Vantage V2 or the Polar H10 heart rate sensor. In my opinion, if you're going to use a Polar heart rate sensor where there's the danger of your devices being damaged or destroyed, this is the ideal thing because it's out of the way, it's convenient, it just fits on your arm, and you don't have to worry about it too much. It's not obstructing your breathing. So for those really high intensity activities, it's what I've been using. You can see all of it on the screen. The results that I have on the screen proves that the more you use the Polar Verity Sense, the more accurate it gets when it comes to recording your heart rate. So don't buy a device, use it for a week, and then say it doesn't work. That doesn't make sense. For me, the Polar Verity Sense is my go-to heart rate sensor. There's no external battery that I have to get. For me, it's just so much more convenient. Let me know what you guys think. Are you considering getting the Polar Verity Sense, and has this changed your mind at all? Thank you very much for watching.